small changes over a long period of time have a great result. And the math behind it is actually if you can improve 1% each day, that is 37 times greater over the course of a year. The same can be said the other way, that if you are getting 1% worse, then you're actually ultimately going to go to zero very quickly. In the Atomic Habits, they talk about, well, how do you actually implement good habits and how do you start to remove bad ones? And there is a bit of a system and structure there that you can apply in your day-to-day, which I've also applied in mine. So research suggests that it typically takes an average of about 66 days for a behavior to become an automatic and habitual. However, this can change to weeks or months depending on what it is and how significant that is. But if you actually work towards something for 60 days, then you will actually start to see that change. So if you think about this on the other side, right? If you just do one thing one day, it's going to have no impact at all. And it can be said the other way. For example, if you don't brush your teeth today, it's probably going to be all right. But if you don't do that for 7 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, eventually that is going to have a big cause of impact in a negative way where you're going to need to get, a lot of dental work and assistance for that. If you eat a bad meal today, your body will probably forgive you for it. But if you do that over weeks and months and years, now you're in a really bad situation, right? So just apply that to the other side of things, that 1% change each day will have no immediate impact or benefit to you in the short term. That value is actually stacking. So then over that course of a long period of time, it's going to actually start to show through. So there's 3 things that kind of really create or determine a habit. And that is the cue, the routine, and the reward. Now, I actually started smoking cigarettes when I was 11 years old. And I bought my last pack of cigarettes at 42 years old. That is a horrible, disgusting habit over a long period of time. And it certainly would have caused difficulties and problems in the lifestyle. But I eventually decided that this needs to change. It needs to stop, and made that change and put it in place. So what are some of the cues around smoking? It's the pack of cigarettes, it's the lighter, it's the ashtray. Maybe you smoke after you have a meal, maybe you have a smoke when you have a drink. So in terms of the cue of habit breaking is about removing that stuff. It's about removing the thing that makes you then kickstart that habit. So we'll apply this to the other right cues that come in throughout the course. You can actually start to apply some of those. Then there's the routine. I have the meal, that's my cue. The routine after the meal, have the cigarette. The reward is, feels good, I'm relaxed, whatever that bullshit excuse is, that's what's going to go through from there. So when it comes to habit replacement, don't just stop bad habits, replace them with new ones. So that you need a new cue and a new routine and a new reward. So if you've looked at the previous episodes, I talk about my transition from the corporate life and actually being unhappy with how I was spending my time, being unhappy with my mental state and physical state. So one of the first things I did is after reading that book was go, cool, I need to introduce new habits and I need to put the cues in place to do those. So the first thing I wanted to do was get on the street, hit the street, and actually just start walking, fresh air, sunshine, and get the body used to that mobility and movement. And started with simple 1K walks, which led into 2K walks, and 6 months later, sitting in this seat 6 months later, I just ran 10Ks last week in under an hour. So that incremental change has had a big reward pretty quickly. So the new cue for me was preparing the night before. So I think any cue that you're trying to put in for a new habit is preparation of that. Remove the things that create the bad decision, the ashtray, the lighter, the pack of cigarettes. If the fridge is full of chocolate biscuits, cakes, and all that, get it out of there and replace it with new cues. So the one that worked for me in terms of the exercise transition was putting the shoes and the running shorts and the running top at the end of the bed. I now have fired up running tops because it's like when I see the running top, it's like, are you fired up or you're not? I'm like, yeah, I'm fired up. Let's get going. So I put the cue in place. The routine is very simple. It is a set distance, and then that goal can actually change to being a set distance within a set time as well. I think one of the things that I've learned, and the book talks about this as well, when it comes to habits, you want to remove the friction that applies to actually doing that. So, for example, if I only wanted to go running on a running track and that running track was an hour from my house, all of a sudden I've got to get up, I get in the car, drive for an hour, then I get to the thing, get prepared, do the work, then get back in the car. I'm just putting too many obstacles in the place to actually restrict me from doing that. So I literally just go out the front door, watch goes on, bang, let's get into it. Now, the same thing will apply if you are trying to put habits into your business life or habits into your relationships. What is the cue? Write down the reward and then implement the routine. There are healthy and productive habits just as much as there are negative and unproductive habits. Now, I wouldn't try and make this huge shift all in one go. I would actually kind of figure out what are the ones that are causing you the most pain, most pain in your relationship, most pain in your work, most pain in your productivity or your learning and development, and start there. In 2022, the whole year, I didn't read one book. In 2023, I wanted to change that. It's all about growth mindset and learning and development and starting to follow the people who are doing the things that you want to do to improve your knowledge, which will improve your skill set, which will improve your value. So one of my previous bad habits was when I went to bed at night, I've got the iPad on a arm that sits over the bed and would just sits there watching comedy channels because that's what I used as my wind down time. So the new habit is actually the books that I want to read go on the bedside table, and that is my cue. The routine is that I've got one of those circular round digital timers. You can get these on Amazon for about $15. They're absolutely awesome. I put that timer on for 25 minutes and I read until it goes off. It's 25 minutes to actually focus on the thing that I want to work and develop on. These tiny 1% improvements on a daily basis, like I said at the start, will lead to being 37 times better over a year.